Hi there, this is Bishop. I thought it'd be easier just to show you the summary of all of your points that you've made. I understand what you all are saying, and I'm trying to kind of generalize these points into like general principles that we can think about for next game. It makes it easier for us to kind of learn from what we've been observing and apply it too. So, uh, the first thing I thought was really interesting was Matt's idea about conceiving um, this indoor setting as a separate sport from what we think of as outdoor field soccer, other than 11v11, because it is a different sport. It's a completely different sport. The pace is so different. There's no out of bounds. There's no chance to rest. You don't realize how much time you actually get to rest in a full field setting. You get to rest for a few seconds, just 5 seconds rest from a throw-in or something like that. That really matters, and it starts to add up. Goal kicks, especially, those are great times to rest. Here, there's no time to rest. So what that means is that you have to be aware. For us, we have to be aware of who our substitution partners are. So in the lineup, if there are, let's say, two defenders, make sure you know who the other defender is, and that you're communicating with them that you're going to be coming out every 2 to 3 minutes. If this person doesn't come out and shout whoever's name it is, then that person on the side needs to shout to them and say it's been 2 minutes, or sub, sub, sub. And then whenever there's a chance to sub, when we're not in danger of being out of position, we're going to be quickly subbing, just like hockey, where it's a line change, except it'll be like a positional line change every 2 to 3 minutes. So substitute very, very quickly, and I think that's going to change the game dramatically for us. Our energy levels are going to be so much higher. Just after 30 seconds of rest on the sidelines, you might notice that you're ready to get back in there. If we keep those quick, we're gonna we're gonna really outrun the other team, which is great. The next main point is shape, and that's shape for offense and that's shape for defense. First, I'll talk about offense. Um, so when we don't have a counterattack on, okay, it's important to know when that counterattack is on and when it's not on. We've been doing this all the time. We've been thinking that since we have one player up, we've got one player up, and we get the ball to them, we think that there's a counterattack opportunity. This is not a counterattack right here. This is a player holding the ball up, waiting for other players to come into the play. Now, this has happened several times with Bomb. Bomb then proceeds to take on a few players at a time, which means that other players are going to be wide open for the pass. So when he's got the ball right here, that means that we're all going to be moving up. Okay, we can make that pass up to him. That's fine, but we need to make sure that we're taking our position seriously, taking our shape seriously, trusting each other that we're going to be in this correct shape. Um, when we lob the ball up to Bomb and he holds it up for us, and other players might be open for a quick shot on goal, that's great. But if not, then we've got this shape right here where we can play around. We can play to each other. It doesn't mean we have to stay in this exact shape. Of course, these defenders are going to probably want to pull up. They're probably going to come up in some way. We're going to need to have some spacing and so forth. But we're generally in like a defense. You'll be coming up to around this area over here, but you shouldn't really be coming in on goal all that much, all that often, making any runs like that. Same thing for this defender over here. Midfielder, you should be thinking about this. The top of the box is your kind of endpoint in which you get to. Try to stay in this position right here as much as you possibly can. Forwards have a little bit more freedom to go where they want to in this final third. But take your position seriously. And what that does, if you take your position seriously, that leads me to the other point, which is making quick decisions and not overthinking, not trying to do too much with the ball. Okay, you'll notice as you go up levels in soccer, and that's what we're trying to do here, the defenders are quicker, and it's harder to dribble them. It's not like pickup where you can dribble a couple players and then feel good about yourself and score. That it happens more rarely and more rarely the more you move up in the ranks, and the speed of play gets quicker. And so that means that you need to make a quicker decision. If something's not on right away, before you get the ball, you should know, okay, I'm either going to take this player on and I'm going to score right away, or I'm going to bounce the pass back. So within 1 or 2 touches, you should have already moved the ball somewhere where you're either going to shoot or you're going to pass. So think about this game as just a two-touch game the whole time, just moving the ball around. It's almost like El Rondo, the little drill that we play before games. That's there for a purpose. We want to get our minds around that, in that kind of mode where we're bouncing the ball to each other. We can, what that does is it allows us to kind of think a little bit more about where we're going to be moving to after we pass the ball, so we can get into a better position. It hypnotizes the other team, it honestly does, into looking at the ball instead of looking at the player. You have to be very, very strict on defense to stay with your man and also watch the ball. And you have to be very, very high level to kind of be able to do both at the same time. So we're going to take advantage of players just lapsing into looking at the ball and coming out and getting out of position, and other players not communicating. And we'll find so many 1-2 passes just bouncing it off of each other like this, and staying in our positions. It's really it's a whole different game. And once we slow the game down like this, where we're in control of where the ball's going, the ball's moving fast, but we're moving just a few feet each time. Some call it tiki-taka. Some call, I guess the tiki-taka probably the best way to describe it. But this kind of passing is so much fun, because you get to think about where the other player is going to be passing next, and you get to anticipate it. It's almost like chess. We can make these quick small little runs, not anything that's going to be like exhausting for us. It also gives us a chance to kind of like feel as if we're all moving the ball in one direction. We're all trying to find the right position, the right angle to shoot on goal. And this doesn't mean that we shouldn't shoot, because we should shoot, but it's a different way of approaching this. Instead of finding that killer pass and that killer run, instead stay roughly in your positions here. Keep your shape. Okay, so the shape is very important, and we're going to be trying to play this 1-2 touch soccer as much as we possibly can. Okay, so that's offense. That's enough to say about offense. And defense. Okay, so now that we've got this shape right here on defense, I'd like us to just, especially these back three here, when we're on defense, I'm not going to use the blue players, I'm just going to use us, the red players here. When we're on defense, we should always be kind of close to each other in space. When we're on defense, we're trying to condense the space as much as we can in front of the ball. So let's say that the ball's right here. These three defenders should be in somewhat of a similar shape as they normally are, which is a 2-1-2, but kind of condense that triangle as much as they can with a person coming out on the ball. It could be this person, it could be this person, it could be both of them. But we're trying to keep this sort of triangle back three here as much as we can. When we do that, what we've been finding is that our forwards are just plain slow at getting back. This is a great position right here to diffuse a quick counterattack, because often the other team's not going to have more than 3 players moving forward. So it lets you diffuse that quick counterattack. It slows it down. So these players are always going to be able to be there and ready to kind of get back in this kind of position right here. So keeping the position on offense also allows our midfielder not to go crazy and to come back on defense and save their legs a bit. Also, with increased subs, as Matt has suggested, this will be a lot easier to get back into position. So once you get back in this kind of defensive shell right here, we'll add to that shape by having a forward come back as well. So the forward, even though you're up front, I need you to come back as quickly as you can. Now, try to get to the backside before a player comes over and overruns our backside. So a forward is really important here in seeing the backside attack. So whatever forward's on this backside, it could even be this forward, but try to keep it the same side. Come back and get to this sort of shape right here, and then our last forward coming back and putting pressure on the ball when it gets moved back out. This will help us a lot in maintaining our shape. It also helps us maintain our shape when we've got the ball back. We've recovered it. We've retreated from whatever position. Let's say we win the ball back over here, and we've got this kind of situation right here. Well, what this allows us to do is then work the ball forward here. We can pass it right here. If nothing's on right away, which we don't really have a great counterattack position right here unless this player sees things beforehand and moves fast forward and we have clear opportunity. What we're doing is we're just then slowly moving the ball back up and keeping our positions into this sort of, we can move it back over here, we can move it back over here. We're trying to keep this position, this 2-1-2 kind of shape here, as much as we possibly can. We're trying to keep that shape for offense, we're trying to keep it for defense. It will help us a lot in just thinking about where we are in space. I didn't talk about communication on defense, but communication is obviously very important. But if we keep our shape, we're going to also know where each other are in this space, and so we can talk to each other a little bit easier. We're not going to have this player coming all the way back over here and having this player come over here all that often. If it does happen, that's great, we can communicate that, but try to keep a basic shape so it's obvious when someone is out of that position and you can cover for them. All right, so the main points, again, quick subs, and keep our shape on offense as much as we can, and keep our shape on defense as much as we can. With offense, realizing that things aren't as counterattacky as we've been playing it. We can patiently work the ball up. We can keep our shape, keep our position as much as we possibly can, and that will help us move the ball quicker around, and it'll also help us learn how to pass to each other a little bit more, learn our movements a little bit more, what we like to do on offense, and get us a lot more goals, a lot more easy goals, a lot more tap-in goals. I love a good rip from the outside of the box, but I also like a lot of tap-ins. So I hope we can get those tap-ins. They're the true team kind of goals. Those are fun. So let me know if you have any comments, any suggestions, any replies to this. We're gonna go forward with this idea of keeping our shape and quick subs on offense, on defense. So that's that. We're gonna win. Don't worry, guys.